Hello, everyone. Just doing a quick, short little live here. Um, Working on one of my books, and I was talking with a few people, and someone asked me a question of how do I write my stories? Because I've talked to people before, and it's very difficult for me to put the text down for my stories. So I decided I'd, kind of talk to you guys about it. I don't do my story writing conventionally, so I'm not writing it down pen and paper or on my computer. I actually sit down with my mic and I put on Audacity on my computer. And I basically just sit back and think of it as, I'm sitting around the campfire or something, and I start telling my story. And I use this to kind of work out the initial framework, figure out what characters I'm going to be using in it. Hey, thank you for joining. I appreciate it, Chris. So that's what I do. The initial stage is just sitting down and talking as if I'm, just sitting around a campfire with people, telling a story, and it evolves through there. And I find it's easier to do it this way with using the mic and a recording program, and then I will transfer it from the recording to text. And I will break it up into the sections, look at grammar, punctuation, and everything, kind of get that as best as I can, and then I will sit down and go through it line by line, layer by layer, to make sure I'm capturing the emotions that I'm actually trying to portray to people. So that edit usually take a day or two to do that. And then I will completely reread it again, go through the whole thing that I've written, and the second edit, I will usually have somebody read it for me. And I'll get them to, give me their critiques on it. Does the flow sit right? Do the characters sit real? Is the emotional attachment that I'm trying to get? Because I want people to feel attached to the characters. So I'll ask if, that's there. And then I'll take their critique, I'll go back through it, I will do another rewrite, change a couple of things as suggested, and then I will do a complete another read. And on the final read, that's when I will do basically solidify the character for me, and I will do the final text, speech to text. And I use one AI tool. I use ChatGPT, and what I do is I'll put that in, and I don't have it write anything. I just get it to make sure spelling and grammar sits, and the flow of the story, and make sure that it actually follows most of the rules if possible. And I'll take what it says and I'll sit down, change anything that I need to, and then I've got my agent and a couple of other people that I will get to read them. And I'm getting an invite here to co-host. Not right now because this is going to be a short. I will be doing a longer video probably tomorrow. And for those that are wondering, yes, I will be coming back to color Vesper, but that's for another point. I want my stories and my characters to actually grab people's attention. I want people to connect with them. So I try to bring aspects of life into it so that people can identify with the characters and understand where the stories are. And, there's a lot of controversy right now with AI. For me personally, I think it's a wonderful tool. I mean, it does a great job showing me what I've done right, what I've done wrong in the stories, how to make the characters more interactable for the people that are reading them. So I don't use it to create anything. I just use it to make sure that it follows a smooth, cohesive storyline. I love creating characters. I love doing small stories. I've tried to write bigger books. It's not my forte. Getting things from here down is very difficult. That's why I love using Audacity. It's so much easier to talk it through. And I use that for all the books, all the coloring books I've put out, as well as the Codex and all the other books that I have. All of them were done through Audacity and through this method. And it just makes it easier for me because I see it as if I'm connecting with the person that's hearing the story. And it just feels more natural to me that way. This is kind of new to me, and people have been telling me I've got to get on TikTok more. I got to talk about it. So that's what I'm trying to do. And it is unusual. I mean, it's weird being an actor. I deal with stories and this stuff all the time. This feels so weird, but I try to use the skills I've learned through that to do the stories as well, so that people can feel it. And then I'm always creating stuff. I'll be sitting, I'll hear a song, I'll see something, stories pop in. I've constantly, like, right now I'm working on a book called Throne of Frost and Flame, and it is a medieval seasonal book. There's going to be 4 of them based on the 4 seasons. And this one has 27 characters, I believe. No, 32 characters. Yes, 32. And I've got I have the preliminary stories for all of them done. I have the first 9 completed. So the stories have been completely polished out, finished, and they are now in the books on the projects on Canva and have been formatted and set up so that that's going to be coming. And each one of them, the same method is what I use. Now, for my characters, I also have a master character template that I use for each one of them. And the template, give me a second here to pull it up, because it's a pretty extensive template. No, it's not the one I wanted. Where did I stick that? Yeah, sorry, my computer's a bit of a mess right now. I'm trying to see where the file is, but the master character template that I've designed has everything for personality, how the character carries themselves. Okay, I do apologize for this. It is trying to figure out where it got put. I've got so many files right now. I have files for about 47 new books that I am currently working on. There's the creation. Yes, this one here. Yeah, I've got like 47 files for new books and stories that I'm creating. Some of them are coloring books, and they're going to be based around specific characters. Then I have my Acorn Hollow, and those ones are fun. I really enjoy making those ones. Where is my template? It's down here. Okay, so there it is. So for my master character template, I usually start with a character name, and I try to, when I can, for certain books, I try to base them in the real world. So I look at different countries and I pick names that are according to that. And then I have the physical structures I've broken down into sections. So I have my face and head, and I design the way the character is going to look. I have the body format so that I can figure out how I want that to go. And that also includes posture and bearing, whether they're relaxed or confident, how I do it. I work expressions into the characters. I plan out their outfits. If there's vehicle and prompts, I do that as well. What types they are, what are key details for it. I plan out the environments so that every environment fits that character and that character's story. So you'll see with things like my Riders of Desire, every one of the ladies has the motorcycle, but the environment corresponds with who they are. And then I do art styles because for some stuff, you know, a couple of the books I'm looking at are probably going to be a little bit more exaggerated cartoon style because they're gearing more towards the kids. And then I have some very fine detail styles that I work with, as well as examples. So when I'm working with an illustrator, I can show them examples of what it is I'm looking for. So each one of the characters gets planned out meticulously, and I don't copy the looks. So in terms of height, in terms of the body styles, I've got wide ranges of height, everything from, you know, the size of the shoulders, the torsos, and same with the facial features. I have different characteristics I pick for things like the nose, the mouth, the eyebrows. So I plan out the characters using my template, and then I figure out what works with them based on where they're going. And then I plan the environments that they're going to be in. And then once I've got the characters set up that way, I will go back through my stories, and I'll go through the initial story and I will change things to match it, because I want the characters to represent themselves and I want the environments to represent the characters so that it's a cohesive story. And then I'll ask myself a simple question of, you know, what is this character doing? Are they dealing with a challenge? Are they doing something new? So as an example here, you know, I'm gonna give you a sneak peek. One of my characters that I'm doing in the Throne of Frost and Flame. Let's go and see, who do we want to work with? You know what, Lady Kaelin. So Lady Kaelin Icebloom, she's a guardian of the Northern Gates. And her story talks a lot about her partner, which is a polar bear named Bran that she raised as a child, has raised since it was a cub. And it talks about what it's like for her being the gatekeeper at the Northern Gates. It describes what the archways look like, talks about how she acts when people approach, what her personality is like. And she doesn't chase people. She's very, very suspicious of people at times, but she's very, very clear in who she is and trusts her judgment a lot when it comes to, you know, people she meets. You know, she'll answer simple questions. If somebody is looking for help, she will assess the situation as to whether or not she can help them or if she needs to bring somebody else out to do it. And, you know, her whole thing is she's one of the first defenses for the Winter Court. You don't get past that gate unless she deems you are. So each one of the characters, I try to get as much depth and personality for them as I can. And it takes time. Like, to do, I think Lady Kaelin was like 5 or 6 days worth of work, because I want to make sure that I present them in the best possible light as to who they are. And I enjoy making them. Like, I love coming up with new characters. I love asking the questions. If this happens, what would this character do? And it's interesting. Sometimes I'll use, real world situations as a basis, but I don't put them in the story. I always adjust the story. No real names, no real places. Pretty much all of it is make-believe as much as possible. The only exception I did in any of the books so far was Riders of Desire. I would say about half of the motorcycles are complete fabrication. I just lost my mind creating them. But I also have a bunch of them that are real motorcycles, and I don't learn everything about them, but when I am bringing real world aspects in, I try to learn about them. So I did research on the bikes as to what they do, what environments they're good for. So I put the time whenever I'm dealing with anything that is in the real world to get as much detail as I can for it. But ultimately for me, it's just creating characters that people can relate to and they enjoy it. And then when I do the images, I want the images to do justice to that character. I want people to look at it and go, that is this person. And I want you to be able to see that personality in the images as well. So that's kind of how it is. It's a pretty long process to do them, but I love doing it. And the feedback I've gotten from people that have bought the books is, they've really enjoyed the story. I do know some of them may be a little bit more intricate than they should have been, but I want people to see the images, and I want you to feel the environment. I want you to feel the character, and I want you to be able to tell what the character is thinking and feeling in that environment as well. So, that's pretty much it. Like I said, it was going to be a short one, but I wanted to answer the question because I've been asked it numerous times by a couple of people, and I know it's not conventional writing, but it works for me. I've always enjoyed, when I was in school, I used to love reading stories to the elementary students. I've always enjoyed making up characters and creating stories for them, so I'm going to keep doing that. And some of them are going to go into the coloring books. Others are going to be short stories that I'm working on, so those are going to be coming. Well, I guess that's about it. Thank you everyone for being here, and for those of you that have bought the books, I appreciate all the support you've given. And if you haven't, shameless plug, please check it out on Amazon. You can find them under my name, James Porth, and it lists the books. You can also find me on YouTube and stuff, and I do videos there about the books as well. That's about it. Thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it, and I love all of you for the support you've given me. And I'm going to keep popping out these books, and I hope you all enjoy them. And if anyone has ideas of something they might like to see, throw me a comment, drop me a DM. I will gladly look into it because I love doing this. This is a great thing, and I'm probably about halfway through my first story for Acorn Hollow, so if I can get that done, I'm hoping to have those coming out, the first one by springtime. They're going to be geared for kids. Think along the lines A.A. Milne or Beatrix Potter. Whoa, sorry, hit the cord. So they're going to be little short stories. I've already spoken with 2 illustrators that I'm looking at for illustrating the books for me. Their styles definitely complement what I'm doing. So I'm hoping to have the first story for Acorn Hollow out in the next couple of months. And right now I'm working on 3 more coloring books. So those will hopefully be coming out. The first one's going to be The Throne of Frost and Flame. You know. So that's about it, people. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for being here. And if you have any questions, comments, please leave them. And I will answer as best I can. And as I said, I will be doing another one probably Wednesday. I think Wednesday I'm going to be popping on to do some more work on Vesper Quell so that people can see how that comes across. And I'll probably start the live with that, with reading her story again. A couple of the books that I have on Amazon right now, I'm looking at rewriting them. The stories really didn't sit with me too well after I had a chance to look at them, so I'm rewriting some of them. And a couple of the books that I have been working on were close to, they're getting reworks on some of the pictures and stuff, so a couple of those books have been delayed, but they're going to be coming out soon as well. And Hearth and Hollow Press is all up and running. The website for that, we're going to be doing that for income tax, so I would say you're going to see the Hearth and Hollow Press website around summertime, more than likely. I'm going to be doing some samples, you know, like one character from each one of the books, and they're going to get put PDF, and they'll be given out for free. At this point in time, if you would like a sample from one of the books, message me through here. I'll contact you. We'll get an email address, and I will send you the sample. So by all means, take a look at what I have on Amazon. And if there's a book that grabs your attention, get in touch with me. I'll send you a sample set from it. I call them sets because for some of them, like, they're multiple pages. You could have, you know, for one of my Christmas books, you have the whole story, you have background lore, and then there's 2 coloring pages, so I consider that a set. So I'm happy to do that for people, and I've got most of those ready. So if there's a book you want to see what it's like, you know, contact me. I'll send you the free sample. Once I get the website up and running, those are going to get uploaded so that, you know, people can download them whenever they want. You know, I want people to be able to enjoy it and see if it's something they want to do. So that's going to be coming. In terms of my lives, they're going to be a little sporadic. I just found out that I'm in place for potentially getting a role in a new TV series. So once I find out about that, I'm going to have to work out my schedule around, you know, the filming. Luckily, it's going to be here in Toronto, in Ontario, so, you know, I'll work around it. But I'm going to get Vesper done, and then I'm going to pull something from one of the other books, and we'll do story time and coloring. And, you know, we'll just relax and hang out. And if you have any questions, you know, feel free to ask. But I'm going to jump now. Got to go make food for the family. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate all of you. And if you have any questions, definitely just get in touch. And please check out Amazon. Take a look at the books. There's a bunch of stuff on my YouTube channel as well. I'm slowly learning how to do this social media stuff. It's not my forte, and, you know, got to learn new lessons. So thank you very much for being here. Have a good night, and I will see you all in a couple of days when we can sit down and do some coloring. Have a good night.